What's up, everybody? It's the talented Mr. Taco, TDS Taco, with TDS Ricky, here with TDS Blitz.
TDS Blitz, TDS Blitz, number one fantasy sports show, about to get it popping like this. TDS Blitz, represented like that. The dopest fantasy football podcast. This is what you need. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Talking strategies and more. Helping you to win from player rankings, waiver pickups, and more. TDS Blitz, keep it entertaining for sure. Let's go.
Woo! So it's the TDS boys here. We got TDS Ricky and TDS Taco
Going
on this mock draft edition. We're picking from the 10th pick overall with 12 teams. Before we get started, like always, I like to get a little spicy before we get started. So I'm going to bring up a question here for my co-host here today, Ricky. How many wide receivers did the Carolina Panthers have in the top 25 last season? How many wide
receivers
did the Carolina Panthers have in the top 25 last season? And for this one, because it's only so limited on these guesses, I'm only going to give you one shot. So just like Eminem, you got one shot.
I would say two.
Ooh!
One?
Ooh! So close. And you got it wrong twice.
What was
They
it?
had three
Three.
wide receivers that
The
finished in the top 25 last
who's
season.
who's the third one?
So they had DJ Moore, they had Curtis
Robbie
Samuel,
Anderson. Right.
and they had Robbie Anderson.
Oh, Samuel. I didn't even realize that. I forgot
Yeah.
about him.
Now, let's also keep in mind that
I forgot about Samuel.
this is an offense that didn't have Christian McCaffrey last year, but they did have Davis, who was pretty good. They had Teddy Bridgewater last year. They don't have him this year, so that's going to be a change in how does Darnold play? Is Darnold as efficient as Teddy Bridgewater was last year to give CMC, because this year I think we're going to see two realistically, because CMC is going to be back to his wide receiver one status. With a running back performing that good, obviously it's going to take away from what Curtis Samuel would have got. Obviously he's not with the team anymore. So obviously I think they're not going to repeat, but I think it was just funny to see that you could have three wide receivers on the same team in the top 25 when a lot of people talk about volume. I'm one of those people that is being one of the big deciding factors where some of these guys, where even if they're in a limited role, they're able to put up big numbers, like we saw from a guy like Samuel Demore.
The biggest one I think we talked about it was Moore was taking a hit. We've been drafting him late. He's been there late. And we said,
I also think
is it Darnold the reason, or maybe also McCaffrey coming back? Because a lot of people I'm thinking is it might be a combination of both. I think Darnold's the more worried.
Well, I think also what it is that I think a lot of people are getting into this Robbie Anderson wave.
Yes.
I think that a lot of people are looking at this situation saying last season Robbie Anderson did finish, only 13 points ahead of Moore, but he did finish ahead of Moore. And it's very close between the two, but then you have the rapport between Darnold and Anderson,
right?
Which kind of makes you feel like there is a chance that Anderson could outscore Moore at a lower draft position value, where you're not going to want to roster both. Like unless you're a DJ Moore truther, I could see why Moore now starts to slide, especially when you look at a guy like Anderson. But I also think unfairly we're judging Moore, who I don't think really had the opportunity to shine like his talents indicate, because I think he's more talented than Robbie overall.
I think Robbie has shown, even the last year with the Jets, when he was there, he was playing well.
Yeah.
Came to Carolina, he made a big impact, right?
Yep.
So I think that's the thing with Robbie. They like the downfield. They've seen Darnold thrown downfield to him already.
Yep.
I do like that combination, but I like more where we've been getting him. I think we've been getting him at a no-brainer pick.
Yeah.
He's the receiver to go with at that moment.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And one thing to highlight is we spoke about him earlier, especially where he got him, Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones was a certified top 25 wide receiver. Also, funny thing that we can note here that I just had, and I may save it for another question. If you saw it, you got it. But there's going to be another question coming about wide receivers that's pretty interesting. So, with that being said, we got a mock draft going on today. Mock draft. 10th
Right.
pick, 12 teams. It's going to get interesting, Ricky. Now we're in the back half of this draft. It's not going to be that beautiful layout, that buffet of top players that you get when you're picking in the top five.
Yeah,
Like
when
you
you're in
see.
the top 5, yeah.
Now we're going to have to be a little bit smoother, a little bit cruder, but we could capitalize, I feel
Right.
like, greatly in these positions.
I do like the right away picks. So we know when we're not waiting. We know when the long wait is, but we get 2 picks almost right away.
I mean, for me, I'm a fluid drafter, so I can pretty much go anywhere and feel comfortable. But I do find myself tend to gravitating towards middle and back or front middle being my favorite. Just because you can really avoid the runs and kind of avoid being in bad situations. Looking at this right now, okay, we're in the 10th pick overall. This is a PPR league. It's going to be interesting. So Tay is number 1. Eckler and Jones are there. I think this is a no-brainer. I think this is the point in the draft where we know Aaron Rodgers is back, baby.
Right.
As we're recording this, he is back. He may not be happy, but he is back, and he's here to make his boys money. And Adams, contract year.
Yeah. To me, it's a no-brainer. And I love Diggs too, but Devontae Adams, once Aaron Rodgers was confirmed, that was it for me. Adams is the guy.
Yep.
And we're getting him at the 10th.
Yep.
That's a steal to me.
That's a steal.
Now, they said it's a steal.
Now, this is where our teams are going to finally be built in a complete different way than we've normally done, because you always seen us get a lot of running backs and get other players and other positions. I think you're looking at Hopkins, Ridley, Metcalf, Chubb, Jefferson, Waller. I think that's what we're looking at. I can argue Waller right here over all of them because of what we argued about in other positions when we drafted him because of his positional value. At this point, I could also maybe say DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, I like and love a lot. Nick Chubb, I am worried about. I don't like that situation with him and Hunt. I know they both were able to perform last year admirably when we break down what they did last year, because I love that we can do this. They both were near the top, but when we look at them, their points were kind of limited. You're looking at 218 to 207. Right. Whereas when we compare them to what these wide receivers were scoring last year, you have Adams who scored 358. You have Metcalf that scored 271. You're talking about a 70-point advantage from this pick. While I like getting a guy like, their upside is too limited for me to take them over one of these wide receivers. Now, Darren Waller is the only person that I can see taking over these guys in this situation because of positional advantage and because he scored 278 points in 2020. And then in 2019, when you look, he scored 220 points. So he's a consistent over 200 plus point scorer, and he does it at the tight end position, which is a hard position to normally get that kind of production at. So I think it puts me in a situation where I look at DK, I look at Ridley, I look at Hopkins, and I look at Waller.
I like the receivers more. I like Waller, but my only issue is like I said, I told you before, he was having a monster season. Everything ran through him. That production doesn't seem like it's going to sustain this year. But I could be wrong.
He has been 220 plus points the last 2 seasons, and he's
just last year was consistently. I forgot the numbers where he was the main focal point. I mean, everything went through him.
Yeah,
it was beyond.
I think that does run again this season. But to be honest with you, and if I'm going to be honest with you, I agree with you. I probably lean more towards these wide receivers that are here because to me, they have wide receiver 1, 300 something plus point upside.
Right.
I'm between Ridley. I'm between Metcalf. I like Hopkins. I don't love Hopkins. I
like Hopkins and Ridley. So I am I'm with you on Ridley, but I am Hopkins over Metcalf.
Last season, Hopkins was 287, Ridley was 281. If you look in 2019, Hopkins was 269. Obviously, that was the season where Ridley started coming on. He had a little bit of the injury problems. This season, it's going to be just Ridley there with
we're splitting hairs there. I'm with you on that.
I think I like the upside more on Ridley. I've written about this before. I think he is number one wide
I don't
receiver.
want going Ridley there, but I like Hopkins over Ridley. I would choose him definitely over Metcalf.
I can definitely agree with you. I think Metcalf and Hopkins are the argument, and I think that it really depends on what you prefer because, like you said, that's just splitting hairs.
Yeah. The Ridley and Metcalf.
There those running backs went, and it's going to be interesting to see what we do in this situation.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see who's left.
Yeah. Chris Carson, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, Henderson, Gaskins, Davis.
I'll be honest with you. I would go with Carson here. Not even looking at what's left.
Now, let's just take a quick look here. Last season, Carson was 187, and wide receiver wise, these guys were like 260. Woods was 245. I'll be honest with you, bro. I'm going with the wide receiver robust strategy because I can flex these guys. I like some of these other wide running backs. I don't
mind it. It's just that we're not going to have anyone. I mean, I guess we could probably have one of those because this is our short way back. But I just hate that we're not going to have any.
You know what it is?
Running back.
It's the upside. Woods is going to outscore him more than likely. Wow.
But we don't have anyone left.
And this is why you do this.
You can get Carson now.
Like, there's Carson, there's Miles Sanders, there's Henderson. There is Amari Cooper, who you really like. I could do it again. I think taking running back here makes sense, but do we think Amari
Cooper have a running back?
If
we don't do one now, this is going to be ridiculous who we have left.
I think that we can snag it, bro, especially with some of these guys that we're looking at late.
Yeah, no, we need
question to you. Do you think that some of these wide receivers can outscore these running backs?
Yes, but I don't think if we don't get a running back.
Do you think Amari Cooper is honestly a higher scorer than all these guys this season? That is my honor. Do you think Amari Cooper outscores all these guys?
Maybe not Carson.
You have Carson as scoring the highest? Carson last season only scored 187.
He was hurt and he missed games. I don't know. And my issue is who we have left.
Cooper scored 236. I think that we could just fill in at running back. You're talking about a 50 to 60 point swing between Carson and Cooper.
Yeah, but then you're talking about what did Chris Carson have?
186.
Okay, what did J.K. Dobbins have? What did Miles Sanders have? What did Henderson have?
That's what I'm saying. I would much rather.
But what I'm saying to you is if Carson had one whatever, all those other guys had nothing.
But again, you're talking about a top 20-something. He's one of the best scorers in the game.
Again, I'm not saying that. What I'm telling you is my argument is, okay, we don't get Carson at that. You're comparing numbers from last year. If you compare Carson to Dobbins, Sanders, Henderson, all of them have 70 or 80 points, probably less than those.
I'll be honest with you. I'm happy here with getting Kareem Hunt, Javonte Williams, Damian Harris, Ronald Jones. I'll just get 4 of those guys.
I'm just telling you the same way you compare the receivers is I'm comparing the running backs.
Yes,
and there's an 80-point difference from what those other people have.
I mean, honestly, running backs we see is volatile. You told me how good Amari Cooper is.
I like Cooper.
Amari Cooper is a top 12 wide receiver.
Our receiving core will be our force forward are going to be wild.
Let's do it.
All right, fine. It's going to be wild.
I think we're going to snag the running backs late.
Hopefully.
Let's see what happens. There goes Kyle Pitts. There goes Lockett. Oh yeah. Okay, so we look at that. Hawkinson is still there.
Hawkinson.
That's interesting.
That is.
Darrell Henderson, Gaskins, Davis, ETN, Hunt. This is a RB0 dream. Henderson right here. Can we just do this? Or Gaskin or Davis? Which one of these guys you like?
How many picks do we have left?
A lot.
Before we come back.
2 or 3, because this is 10.
I don't know, man. I like Hawkinson.
You like Hawkinson more than getting one of these. I think that Logan Thomas could.
I like Hawkinson more than getting those running backs. Because we'll get one of those running backs back.
Let's just see something. I just want to see something. Because I would rather go 2 running back here. Hawkinson last year was 175. These running backs, if they get like Carson scored 189, this guy scored 206. Hunt scored 218. I would rather. Because I think that we could go even with a Tanyan and a Higbee and just kind of like roll that way because our wide receivers are so crazy that if we can get some stable running backs who Henderson, Gaskins, and Davis are all RB1s, they're going to get all the workload. Like their workload is less subjective to me.
I would choose either Henderson probably or
Henderson?
I would say Henderson.
Henderson's your first. He's the trendy guy. Let's be real. I'm with you on it. I'm riding this Hendo train.
I'm a.
Mike Davis. Mike Davis.
Yeah, I think we get Mike Davis here. I think we get a running back.
Hawk is there, but I say go Mike Davis.
I say go Mike Davis. Yeah.
And guess what? We took that risk on the wide receivers, and now look at this shit, bro. This team is insane.
Now again, bro, the big questions are running back. Big.
Okay.
Questions.
Granted,
big questions. We can't make it seem like
they're
running back ones on paper, but they're huge questions.
Okay, right here, you already know what I'm going to say to you. Javonte Williams.
All right, if you want to get him, that's fine. At this point, any running back to me is
now we have 3 running backs. Okay, fuck your running back questions. I'm good. Who's available at quarterback? Rodgers, Hurts, Tannehill. You already know how I feel about these quarterbacks. I like Rodgers. Rodgers does put us kind of fucking crazy right here.
I like Rodgers there again, just because of the question marks we have somewhat in running back. He solidifies amount of points for us every week.
Or do we take the tight end and not risk it?
No, we could get him on the way back. We'll get one of those on the way back. I say we get Rodgers. We got the duo. Davante Adams. I like the duo Davante Adams Rodgers.
I agree with you because of the fact we're also stacking him with fucking Adams.
Yes.
It's just getting ridiculous.
It's getting ridiculous. But no, that's a great combo.
Damn, Hurts is still there. That sucks. Oh my God, Ronald Jones, are you shitting me? Like we could go for.
I don't like. I like the tight ends.
I like Rojo here too because like you said with our questions at running back. I feel like he's the last guy.
I think we can even get Rojo back.
Because think about it. Is he there?
Who?
Whatchamacallit is already gone. Carter.
Is he gone already?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's not available. Right. Yeah. So I think that Jones is the last RB like legit like guy that you could plug in and play. Like God forbid these running backs suck and we need a running back.
Okay.
We can win with Jones. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
And I feel like his value there makes sense with the way we drafted this team. And then we hope to either get a tight end.
Any interest in Connor?
What happened?
Is there any interest in Connor?
I do think that Chase takes this job. I
do
think that Connor could be solid, but Logan Thomas is there now.
No, I would take tight end here. Now go Logan Thomas. I love Logan Thomas.
Dude, if this team isn't an A+, I don't understand what an A+ is. Because this is insane.
You know they're gonna look at the running backs.
Dude, they're number one. They're literally at least like we have 4 wide receiver 1 to 2s.
No, that's where I think saves us. We have no one can mess with our 2 receivers in the flex.
And this is a PPR league. So it's like outscore us, bitches. Here I don't mind taking a backup wide receiver. We have 4 running backs now and four wide receivers. We have Aaron Rodgers. We're still looking at top flight quarterbacks on the waiver or are available. I think this is an interesting situation, though.
Um,
Wow. Okay, so Higbee is going off as tight end 11. I like Higbee a lot. Like, I really wish we could have like a Thomas and a Higbee, but that didn't work out. Irv Smith is someone I still like a little bit later, but we've seen him go, late enough that we don't have to take him now.
yeah.
I think T.Y. Hilton's value upside here.
I sort of I like Ty. I like rolling the dice on him.
Yeah, I feel like at this point in the draft, his upside makes sense because he could hit with Wentz, and he's been good his whole career. And I know he's older, and it's like Pittman's year, and
But still, Wentz could throw the ball.
exactly. And let's just see here. But damn, bro, this is also why it's kind of hard to take some of these quarterbacks because look at how these drafts are playing. Everyone's running sleep quarterbacks. And I feel like I could win with a Burrow and Lawrence stack. Like I could stack those guys and not really worry at quarterback. But I also like you said, having the Rodgers. We already had pretty much everything filled but the tight end. So it's not like we were gaining another starting position. So at that point in time,
would you think about choosing Tannehill here?
oh shit, yes. Actually,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, Tannehill's there. That
Tannehill or Hurts?
He's to me Tannehill because he's trade bait.
Yeah,
That's real trade bait. And God forbid one of these running backs do well, we could trade him at that point for a running back.
Oh,
Or
dude, we have 4
top
running backs, 4 wide receivers.
That's what I'm saying.
Like it's insane our depth. Wide receiver here. We've been high on John Brown, but obviously he cannot be anything.
Right.
And I'm seeing that these tight ends here are kind of evaporating by the 13th round. So if we want to hit 2 wide receivers, I mean, I think Gerald Everett also is an interesting guy to snag, and Jared Cook is an interesting guy. So I think that there's still some guys left that we can snag and not really worry about it. So to me, I think we keep going back.
And also,
to Brown.
I know the receivers are not people, but Paris Campbell, he wasn't bad last year.
But I feel like with having Hilton already, do we want to really?
No. I'm just bringing him up. I'm not talking about choosing.
And another guy is Amon Brown. They're saying this guy's showing out to camp and showing out.
That's what they're saying.
There's rumors he could be the number 1 on this team. So I think there's a couple of these late guys that we could snag.
Yeah,
I think maybe those are the 2 guys you look at. I think we take Brown first.
No, I don't mind taking Brown.
Yeah. I'm sold on Brown in the
really
13th round.
Just stay on the field is the question.
Yeah, Brown in the 13th round is to me value. Although I like Penny there, but we are deep at running back. So now I'd rather take the shot at some guys that could have huge upside and be possible number 1s. And I would take one of those guys, but I'm also worried about because we do want to try to get a good rank here. So if I do take some of these guys, they might give us a bad rank. So fine. At this point, we can also take Gronk here.
Yeah, I don't mind Gronk.
Because as a backup tight end, in case shit happens,
I
mean Gronk gets you a touchdown any week.
Yeah, you're right.
Any week. So at tight end, you could do worse. And we already have enough wide receiver depth that we don't have to sit there and worry about we didn't need that. We needed that wide receiver.
Yeah.
We are. This team is deep. If this team isn't at least an A something, I don't understand the rankings. I'll call them out again.
Let's see.
This is an A something, and we did it in 20 something minutes.
B+.
B plus? Are you fucking kidding me?
All right, so they probably the running backs probably. Oh, actually, let's go to the analyzer.
We could have the number 1 and number 2 wide receiver in the freaking game.
Yeah, no, I love the receivers.
This team, I love.
Now, people watching, hey, it's not easy to go 4 receivers your first 4 picks and come back with all this, dude.
Well, that's one thing we could say to the viewers. Ricky is more, Belichickian, likes to be slow, steady, consistent. Ricky knows I like to be a little bit of Riverboat Ron. I don't mind taking the risk. I'll risk it for the biscuit when it's a certain guy. To me, I am not an Amari Cooper fan. I was talking with Ricky about this. I do
Yeah.
think CeeDee Lamb takes that job. But with that 4th pick, and you're looking at Cooper, and I'm looking at some of these other running backs, I think that Mike
No,
Davis.
I think we went down the hole so much on the running backs that it was the right pick to pick the 4 wide receivers.
Because is Carson really that much better than
No,
Henderson?
again, Carson to me, it just I don't know. Carson can be much better than Henderson and Davis. They can. He can be much better than
Henderson when he's right is nasty.
I like Henderson just because they told him that he was going to be the guy, and they didn't get anyone else. They got the veteran, that they always do. That the team always does. It gets a veteran for the young running back, and then Mike Davis to me, he is the only guy there. He has shown that he did the workhorse. He could be a workhorse, but he did fade at the end of the month, and then he came back again.
So
he did come back.
We got to see what happened, but I love.
I think with our wide receivers, as long as Henderson and Davis are not complete busts, we are really good.
Like, and Jake from State Farm. Okay, Jake. Let's see your team, Jake. Tom Brady, Alvin Kamara, and Josh Jacobs. Okay, DK Metcalf, Kenny Galladay.
That's not bad. Actually, those 5.
But then you have Chark and Robinson. We have Amari Cooper and Woods. I think that makes up for anything we were missing.
That's true. What's his bench?
Jarvis Landry, Michael Carter. He got Carter. Kirk Cousins, Dylan Beasley, Benny Snell. Get out of here with Benny Snell. Javonte Williams.
Beasley's not bad either.
Beasley, you have Gabriel Davis. You have Sanders, Emmanuel Sanders. You have Diggs. You have Beasley. They have a lot of people there. I don't know how that's going to work this season. And like I said, Javonte Williams to the moon, bro. Javonte Williams could end up pushing himself into that starting running back position. We already know how I feel about Javonte Williams. That's also part of the reason why I think the Carter upside here, we consistently see it with running backs. So many running backs that are drafted early do not return their investment. It's the number one position that has the biggest churn rate. What that means is normally you want to risk it on maybe one of those guys and kind of balance yourself out and then have one of these second round guys like we did. How this draft worked out, the wide receiver values were there. We stocked up on the top end elite talent in a PPR league where we've seen last season their point production was elite. If I have 4 players that are starting that are in the top 25 at one position, plus I have 2 that are at the other one, plus I have the top quarterback, guess what? It's hard to beat me. You can't beat me. That's a tough position because most people are not going to have 4 players in the top 25 in any position.
Yeah, no, those wide receivers are a lot. They're a lot to deal with.
Yeah, like alone, their upside is insane. Like what?
And again, people watching again when you have that good and they all 4 do well, you could package one of your running backs and get a top running back.
Yeah, but think of it like this: Jacobs finished. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jacobs is the 8th running back with 231 points. As a wide receiver, 231 points is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's something we have to start thinking about as well. Now, obviously, I understand positional advantages and all that, but let's remember also something when we look back at this, because this is what we have to go and reflect on. David Montgomery was a late pick. Okay, Kamara, you spent capital. Cook, you spent capital. Henry, you spent capital. That's why you spent capital. Montgomery, late pick. Aaron Jones, that's why you spent capital. Taylor, you had to come up and push up for him because people thought about it. You had to spend capital. Robinson, off the waiver wire. Jacobs, for where you drafted him, you feel like he kind of reformed, but you had to spend capital. Ezekiel Elliott, you had to spend capital. Hunt, nope. Chubb, yes. Think about that. Chubb, you had to spend all that capital on. Zeke, you had to spend all that capital on. Look how much further and look how much their return on production. Imagine if you would have taken Devontae Adams over Zeke. You're talking about Zeke scored 223 points, right? How many did Adams score? Adams scored 358.
My thing is
Calvin Ridley scored 281.
For Devontae Adams to go down to 10, I think is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I can understand it because people want their running backs early. But I think
Yeah,
what
but
we showed,
not Devontae Adams.
but I think what we showed is exactly right. You shouldn't be letting some of these wide receivers slide.
Yeah,
When
no.
you look at the risk proposition at the position, what their outputs have been, like, yes, I will say that, in seasons past, Zeke has been better, and Zeke does have offer pretty good upside.
No, but I'm talking about 10. So I'm saying to you is if I'm in
Zeke
eighth,
was off the board, right?
and
right.
if I'm in 8th spot and I'm seeing Devontae Adams coming to me, I'm ecstatic at 8th. At 10th,
so now I guess since we wrapped up this mock draft pretty early, we can play around on the back end. And okay, so let's look at flexes, right? Because no one drafts a quarterback early. These are the flexes from last year, right? These are wide receiver, running back, tight ends.
Yeah.
Number one, obviously this season or coming in. Let's see if we can pull up projections. Projected season projection. Okay. Number one, McCaffrey. 2, Hill. No one's taking Hill that early.
No.
Kamara, he's one of the guys. Cook, he's one of the guys. No one took Diggs. Barkley, he's one of the guys. So you're taking a look at 1, 2, 3, 4. Jonathan Taylor, he's one of the guys. 5. How the hell do they have J.K. Dobbins? See, this is why you can't trust some of these things, man. Like, what the hell? They have J.K. Dobbins scoring 302. They got Chubb at 289. They got Zeke at 287.
I wrote something on Dobbins and how he had potential because he did do well when he got the rock last year, right? And he carried the ball 5 yards per carry. But I did point out that it's just too many people at the red zone get the ball before he does. Lamar Jackson gets it before he does.
Yeah.
Then you have Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards, yeah.
He's still there.
Now, I can see Dobbins becoming more of a focal point and getting some of that.
So do I.
It is a risk proposition.
But to have him that high is pretty high.
Yeah, that's ballsy.
That is.
You have him over 300 points. Like,
and I haven't seen him go that high.
No, I haven't. Like,
I haven't seen him. Taylor, I haven't seen go high.
But to me, when you look at what these projections are some people overvaluing the running back? Like, at what point in these drafts?
I think they're not even overvalued. They're getting scared that they're not going to have anyone left. Because
so we talked about
what I'm saying is when you say it's so volatile, you're right. It could go either way. It could go where, hey, they come out of nowhere and do well, or hey, they're supposed to do well, and oh my God, they suck and they just lost their job and the backup just came in. What I'm saying to you is they get scared of who's left over and will I have even any running? Because some people sometimes are scrambling for running backs.
Right, because obviously there's injury at the position. That's number one thing. The injury, because the guy can get injured and not produce. There's also guys like one hit wonders. We've seen him with Eddie Lacy and time again. There's so many running backs that perform in or guys that underperform from the year before. The one thing that we do have is we do have some guys that have been consistent, but if you're seeing Adams at 10 is ridiculous. Who are you taking out of this top 10? Who are you saying should? I mean, you could argue Hill and Adams is picking between two of them, so you really can't argue that. So who do you take down? Kelsey, you don't think should be taken over Adams? I could argue with positional scarcity that it makes sense.
No. I mean, Kelsey's not that. I don't mind it that bad.
So you would say maybe Taylor, Barkley, or Zeke? Would you take Zeke over Adams?
I would take Devontae Adams over Jonathan Taylor. I would probably take Devontae Adams over Zeke. And I might even take him over Barkley. I wouldn't, just because it's Barkley.
I gotta see. The one thing is,
again,
most
I'm
of our
going
good
to
drafts,
the point where they tell me either, hey, he's playing, or hey, he's gonna miss the first or second week.
Yeah.
If you're telling me at the first or second week, and I'm getting him at 8, then I'm taking Barkley at 8. If they're telling me, hey, he's only gonna miss the first 2 weeks, I'll eat that.
You would take that over Adams though, knowing Adams is not gonna miss any time.
Yeah. So again, it's just that the running back and Barkley if he comes back and plays like Barkley, he could be better than anyone, maybe even as good as Christian McCaffrey.
You're right, but McCaffrey is looking at 377. They're definitely way down on Adams. They
No,
haven't had
like I said,
309.
that's why I said Devontae Adams to me, the fall to 10 didn't make sense at all. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, but so the only guy that you're saying is Jonathan Taylor. There's only
No,
one
I
guy.
would take him. No, I would take him over Taylor. I would take him over Zeke. I would take him probably over Kelsey.
I don't know. I could really feel
And
like,
Barkley again. I have to see what they say about him. If they tell me if it's uncertainty, then I'm taking Devontae Adams. If I get to know that hey, he's only missing week 1, there is a chance I take Barkley over Adams. I take Devontae Adams probably over Hill, but that's splitting hairs. It doesn't really matter.
Right. But I could argue that because of what's going on in that Kansas City offense, Travis Kelce might actually get even more workload than before with no Watson, and because he's the tight end, I can argue where I can see people taking Kelce over even Taylor, Elliott, Barkley. Like I could see Kelce being the 5th pick because is there a tight end you feel more confident in? And is there a tight end with more upside?
But what I'm saying to you is, let's say we get to I'm number 5. I'm choosing Devontae Adams at 5.
That's what I'm saying. I think I'd probably take Kelce over Adams because of his position.
I mean, I guess you could say that, but I mean, I probably would take Devontae Adams, especially coming contract year. What Rodgers is up to, I know those two are buddies. You saw the
but you're talking about you got 312 points out of Kelce, and your third tight end scored 176.
Yeah,
that's why I would take Kelce over, and even the season before 2019. He put up 254 versus 222 versus 221 versus 215 versus it was still a significant where by the 5th, you're talking about 50 plus points. I think his positional advantage is the only reason why I would take him over Adams. But again, that's something where it really depends. And as we showed here, I can take 4 wide receivers back to back to back to back to back in a 12-team league where I'm drafting in the back end and still come out with a.
To me, once we got Ridley, it was a smart move to get the wide receivers.
Yeah, and Cooper. I mean, I get Carson's, I get Dobbins, I get Jacobs, but I think Cooper
is so consistent. And with Dak there full season,
yeah,
you're getting 220 something points probably regardless without blinking an eye.
Yeah, and I mean, other than. Like Godwin offers similar upside, and then I think that DJ Moore is just that tier right below.
Yeah,
I think
so
Adam Thielen,
I'm more below Cooper.
Adam Thielen, I can argue, is on that same level. And Kenny Golladay is the biggest wild card that we're going to see in some of these drafts because he's going in the 5th round. We are drafting him like a wide receiver too, but in reality, he is going to be the volume play for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones throws a decent deep ball, and Kenny Golladay is good with the deep ball. He's someone that we're going to have to watch where he might be able to outperform his draft capital. But that New York Giants offense is tricky because we haven't seen it in action yet. They have a lot of moving parts. We have to see what goes on with Barkley. But we've seen offenses being able to save multiple pieces and be on that upper
And the thing with Barkley, it could go both either ways. That he comes back and everything gets lowered for the receivers, right? Because he's going to get the workload.
Yep.
Or he doesn't come back, and we have the same situation where Daniel Jones is on his own.
Yep.
And we just can't cut it.
Or it's a situation where Daniel Jones is on his own, but this season he has Kenny Golladay versus last season.
You can see it that way as well.
And then Kenny Golladay all of a sudden becomes an 8-9 catch game. He becomes a guy like Adams, where it's like Daniel Jones knows how to find Kenny Golladay because Kenny Golladay is so much better.
The thing I like with Golladay is he is the main guy. There is no doubt about that. They got him. He's a superstar. He's their wide receiver,
And I think that's the thing that you're mentioning that a lot of people might be forgetting. When Kenny Golladay is healthy and good, he is good.
Yes.
And he's a deep play guy. And the biggest reason why Kenny Golladay is slipping is because Daniel Jones' inconsistencies and Daniel Jones' risk.
Yes.
That's
the one that affects the same thing we're talking about Darnold and affecting every one of their receivers. Yep. If they don't like the quarterback, the receivers are going to take a hit. Unless you have, and it's weird because unless you have guys like Kirk Cousins, who's not the best, but they know he's chucking it up
Not only that, same thing with Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
But even Cousins has Cook behind him. It's just the way that offense is built and with the weapons.
But they know Cousins is throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah. But he also has Cook. So it's like, it's hard to say that when then you have Cook, but it's like, you're going to run the ball with Cook.
But what I'm saying to you is, yes, they have Cooks, but Cousins has been doing this since the Washington years. He throws the ball. This is now fifth year of Cousins throwing the ball how many times, per game. This is consistency. That's what they're getting out of Cousins.
Yeah. Put it like this. He's going to be conducting one of the better offenses where even though his fantasy numbers might not be as great because he doesn't have the rushing upside and because Cook takes a lot of those goal line carries, which can steal touchdowns for him, he's going to get those touchdowns. Adam Thielen was a big-time scorer. Justin Jefferson, the biggest question that I have is, can he replicate last season's success? Is he going to be someone that, was buoyed by a lot of big plays and big games, and as they start adjusting to his speed and his abilities, just lowers slightly? Like, I don't know if I can take Justin Jefferson over. Well, I mean, yeah, you can. I guess DK Metcalf.
They're one of the things, the two receivers where we talked about, we don't like having two receivers on the same fantasy, but they're one of the pairs where I am fine if I had them both, just hypothetically.
Like Woods and Kupp.
Yes, like Woods and Kupp, right.
Or so like even Lamb and
one of the pairs that I don't mind having them both on my team.
Like if you had Lamb and Cooper, you're kind of like shit, but at the same point in time, you're like, I have Lamb and Cooper. Like
Cooper, yeah. I'm not going to get too worried. You're right. But they're one and up and coming, which I think is going to happen this year. Where Kupp and Woods, I've seen it in.
And how funny is this? We have Woods and Cooper, and they have Lamb and Kupp.
That's funny.
Twilight Zone thinking here. I like Ridley. I mean, I like Eckler, but I also think that Ridley's upside is kind of higher than this is a tough one.
I think it was great. I think it was to get Adams, and we were debating about Adams and Ridley. To get them both was unbelievable.
I think to me, Gibson and Jones are these next running backs that are pushing up into that next class. And
I'll tell you right now, if it was Gibson instead of Eckler, I might have gone Gibson. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like what these guys did because they got Gibson and Jones.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's a perfect move once you've seen everyone go off there, because I could argue that, maybe Ridley over Gibson. That may be the only thing that I would say, but with their strategy and what they were trying to build, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could have easily went Jones and Ridley, and then boom, we would have taken Gibson. That would have been a no-brainer for me too.
Yeah, that would have been a no-brainer for him.
But look at what they did. They took their 4 wide receivers later. So this is one thing that we also have to
do. And to be honest with you, it's not bad 4 wide receivers, to be honest with you, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, I love this team.
Yeah. I actually do like that team. You're right.
A lot. Like
those four could be good, really good.
And bro, tell me we don't have 3 wide receivers with RB1 upside, RB2,
and they got Justin Herbert.
Yeah. Yep. So,
but I like our force.
Yep. And what I was saying is these 3 running backs have RB1 upside with RB2 minimum.
Yeah.
Like I think at minimum, Mike Davis and Henderson are going to be an RB2.
I think I'm starting to lean more to Mike Davis being a solid number 2.
Yeah, and Henderson could be an RB1, I think, for sure.
Yeah,
but or at least a high-end RB2. Like I think both these guys could be an RB2.
The thing at that point, we had to go somewhere at least we knew was going to get the ball and say, and this is your job to lose. Basically, it really is. Again,
like if you have 2 top 5 wide receivers within 2 more top 20 wide receivers, with then a top 15 running back, with a top 20 running back, with the top 15 running back, that shit is a problem. And then you have a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
So
I like our team. It was good.
And then you have Logan Thomas, who, God forbid he does something with one of the last picks.
Right.
So I love this team. We went wild. We went crazy.
It was good.
Riverboat Ron figured it out. A Riverboat Taco got it done. It's popping. We lit. We're going to have more of these drafts. We're going to show you different strategies. We're going to show you what to do. That was my first RB0, if we can call it that, because in the 5th round, we took an RB. So
yeah.
I don't know what the kids on the block call that, but we just went flow drafting, and that's how it worked out. With that being said, make sure you follow us on our Instagram page at TDS Blitz. Make sure you check out our podcast. It's going to be everywhere you can get your podcast. follow us on YouTube because we have tons of these videos out here where you can actually see what's going on with the board and get some visuals going on to what you're listening to. And if you have questions, make sure you leave them for us below. Send us a DM on one of the social medias if you need to, or comment on any of our posts, and we'll answer your questions, and we'll make sure that you guys have everything you need in order to win. Before we go, Ricky, do you have any thoughts on this mock draft? Any thoughts about something that you're looking at as we're getting ready for the start of everything for the football?
No, it's just, again, we have a bunch of videos that you can see on YouTube coming out from all different positions.
And again, we have tons of content on IG.
I so far, the picks I've liked is the 5th and this 10th.
Yo, this pick, honestly, bro.
Yeah, I think this was one of the better ones.
This team,
I just like that. I like the position of the 10th of where we were. It was pretty clear cut. We knew where to go. We knew what to do. And then the 5th, we also did that. You'll see a video of that. And that also, to me, was very clear cut. And we had a really great grade on that one as well, I think.
And one thing that we do in these videos is we literally tell you, like, and this is the snake point in your draft where you have to make this decision because it's going to fork off. So if you go one way, this is what it's going to look like. If you go another way, it's going to look like this. And we literally propose these things to you, kind of like what we did in this draft. We said, well, if we don't take a running back here, when we were looking at guys like Woods and Cooper, who are we getting on the way back? Who are we looking at?
Yeah.
I literally said it's worth it. We skipped on Carson once, and then we skipped on Carson again just because to me that upside was worth it. And like I told Ricky, I love what we're looking at in these 5th through 8th, 9th round running backs. There are some decent plays there where they're not costing you a lot, but they have decent return on investment where you can invest yourself in higher priced wide receivers who could end up being top heavy, where you could see 4 top 20 guys. So I think strategy is everything. You have to see what players you're comfortable with, because you might not be comfortable with these guys where you I don't like any of those guys. I don't feel confident in them. And that's a big thing. Do not draft players just because we're suggesting them. You have to also feel it, because you are the one pressing the button, and you will be the one regretting it, and you will be the one telling us. So we give you the information, we give you the strategies that we're going with, and we play it out for you. We discuss it, and we hope that you can use this information to better prepare yourself in order to get your best possible draft and win your leagues. Then we have waiver wire, we have trade, and all that stuff during the season to make sure you guys are right.
And remember, when you're picking the 4 receivers, you're like, oh, I'm not going to run it back. Remember, you're getting top guys.
Yep.
All you really need is also, remember, it's always good for trade bait. You could always upgrade on your running backs.
Yep.
But again, the way we constructed this, I like the way we had this done.
Yep.
I think we ended up, I think you're right. The Carson was the good to pass on the first time. It was a no-brainer for me on the second time. Also, the Cooper, well, you're right. It was after looking at it, it made no sense to get Carson.
Even though Carson, like you said, is that RB1, gives you that upside. It's just the point breakdown of what he possibly could do. It's like, even at his best, he'll be like a bad season from this wide receiver. Whereas I'd rather take the risk on some of those later running backs and try to hope that this guy really blows up. And now not only is he beating Carson, but now I got a guy later on that's almost as good as Carson.
Yep.
So on that note, we're out of here. And until next time, everyone, peace.
Hey, David and Taco, they bring the heat. All about UFC, way more than a fantasy. Let's see who going toe to toe. Throw down on the mat, check the replay, run it back. We gotta check the stats. Hey, do this every day. We ain't come to play. This is sports talk, and we love talking MMA. Everything fantasy sports.